Hi, everyone, and welcome back to Kari's Confessions, a nonprofit exec tells all. I'm Kari Anderson, your host and principal with Incite Consulting. And as always, I'm here to share some hard learned lessons and honest truths from life inside the nonprofit world. I spent 25 plus years in the nonprofit sector in leadership roles with 7 organizations, and I now provide coaching and consulting services to ensure that nonprofits like yours have the structure, systems, and practices to do your best work. Wherever I go, I continue to hear that nonprofit execs need a space to gather, to receive tools, feedback, and advice that encourages them to stay the course. It doesn't seem to matter if you're in a village of 182 or a metropolis of millions, nonprofit work is both gratifying and lonely. I'm here to make sure that you breathe, laugh, smirk, and hopefully get excited again about the important work that you do. My podcast explores the tools and strategies that help nonprofit leaders grow their impact and build resilient organizations. So today's confession, early in my career, I thought leaders just appeared. Like if you worked hard enough, someone would tap you on the shoulder and say, "Congratulations, you're a leader now." Spoiler alert, that's not how it works. So today we're going to dive into how to identify and mentor future leaders in your organization, because leaders are not unicorns. They're discovered, developed, and nurtured. And if you're not doing this work intentionally, I promise you your organization is setting itself up for chaos down the road. So today's top 3 takeaways: sustained success, stronger teams, and resilience. So why does this matter anyway? Why should you care about spotting and mentoring leaders? Here's another confession of mine. I once watched a nonprofit completely unravel when the executive director left with 2 weeks' notice. Hey, heads up, execs, don't give just 2 weeks' notice. We digress. That organization had no plan, no backup, no one to step up. Programs stalled, staff burned out, and donors panicked. Sound familiar? It took months to get this organization back on track. Now, compare that to another organization I worked with. Their deputy director had been mentored for years. When the executive director left, she wasn't perfect, but she was ready. She wasn't perfect, but she was ready. She stepped in, stabilized the team, and donors barely noticed the leadership change. The difference between those two experiences, night and day. That's why this matters. Mentoring future leaders means sustained success. Let me describe this. Your organization doesn't crumble when someone leaves. Stronger teams. People feel supported, accountable, and motivated. Resilience. You can handle change and challenges without hitting panic mode. So let's talk about how to identify future leaders, how to actually spot a future leader in your organization. Here's where a lot of us get it wrong. We assume high performance automatically equals leadership potential. But let me tell you a story. I once promoted our best grant writer to manage a team. She was brilliant, organized, efficient, a rock star at securing funding. But here's the thing: she hated managing people. Imagine that. She didn't want to coach, delegate, or mediate conflict. Within a few months, she was miserable, and so was her team. That was a hard but important lesson. High performance doesn't always mean leadership potential. So, what do you look for instead? These 3 key qualities. First of all, emotional intelligence. People who can read the room, manage their emotions, and empathize with others. Adaptability. The ones who stay steady when things get messy. Strategic thinking. Folks who ask, where are we headed? Not just what's on my desk today. And sometimes your future leaders aren't the loudest voices in the room. I once had a quiet program coordinator who always noticed when people were struggling. She'd check in, she'd anticipate needs, and she thought 2 steps ahead. Today, she's running her own department. It's also worth noticing leadership styles. Not everyone has to be authoritative. You've got coaching leaders, servant leaders, democratic leaders, and all of them can thrive in different contexts. And don't forget, culture matters. If your organization punishes mistakes or discourages feedback, your emerging leaders won't stick around. They'll shut down or they'll leave for a place where they can grow. So let's talk about mentoring future leaders. Once you've spotted potential, the next step is mentoring. And here's my confession, I used to think that mentoring meant giving advice over coffee once in a while. Turns out it's so much more. Mentorship is about walking alongside someone, helping them stretch without snapping. It's about creating a safe space to ask questions and make mistakes. There are a few ways to do this. First is one on one mentoring. It's classic, it's powerful. It involves tailored guidance and regular check ins. Now, there's also group mentoring. People can learn from other people's questions and experiences. There's also something that's called reverse mentoring. This one's a favorite of mine. So, once a 20 something staffer taught me how TikTok was reshaping donor engagement. At first, I thought, really? Because frankly, I've got time for like one social media platform. And she completely shifted the outreach strategy and it worked. So, that's the power of fresh perspectives. Now, for mentoring to actually work, you need three things: trust, open communication, and mutual respect. Without trust, your mentee won't open up. Without communication, small issues fester. Without respect, the whole thing falls apart. And here's the bonus: mentoring doesn't just benefit the mentee. As a mentor, you sharpen your own skills. You practice patience, you learn empathy, and you get a fresh look at your own leadership. I've walked away from mentoring relationships feeling like I grew as much as the person as I was guiding. So, I want to share a little bit more about investing in the future. None of this leadership development happens by accident. If you want future leaders, you have to invest. And here's another confession for you. I once agreed to mentor someone, but we didn't set goals or timelines or any sort of structure. We just met when we could. And after a few months, we both felt stuck, like we weren't making progress, never mind a bunch of wasted time. The second we set clear objectives, everything changed. Suddenly, we knew what we were working towards, and she flew forward in her growth. So, if you're serious about this, make it structured. Set clear objectives, define timelines, and build in ways to measure progress. It doesn't have to be fancy, it doesn't have to be formal, but it does need to be intentional. And the payoff? Huge. Better performance, higher retention, stronger culture. People who see a future for themselves and your organization stay longer. They give more and they grow deeper roots. So here's today's final confession. I've been part of organizations that have ignored leadership development, and I've been part of ones that have invested in it. And trust me, given the choice, I'd pick the second one every single time. Leaders just don't appear, they're nurtured. And your job, my job, our job as nonprofit leaders is to create the space and support to make that happen. So let me leave you with this. Who in your organization is quietly showing those leadership sparks? And what could you do this week to nurture them? Remember today's three takeaways: sustained success, stronger teams, and resilience. Thanks for joining me today. If you found this episode helpful, consider sharing it with your board or leadership team and subscribe for more practical strategies on building resilient, innovative nonprofits. Make sure to follow me on your favorite streaming platforms, including YouTube, Apple, and Spotify. And for additional resources and tools, follow me on LinkedIn. You can also check out my website at inciteconsultinggroup.com. And remember, keep leading with courage, clarity, and maybe just a little bit of coffee. Until next time, have a good one.